All right, welcome back to the Homestand Show. James Sharman, Bobby Conway of BET99 joins us. Justin Pooney, Albert Vartanian. So we obviously been talking about the Leafs a ton because
why not?
Down 0-3 to the Florida Panthers. We've talked about this off the air. I want to get your thoughts on it, but I want to hit you with this fill in the blank first before we get into it. The Leafs will win blank games in this series.
2.
So taking it to 6.
Yeah. I think they'll win the next game.
From what you've seen so far, what makes you believe that they can do that?
Well, I mean, the last game was terrible. Defensively was awful. But the first 2 games, you could argue, they could have won. And the worst game they played went to overtime. You'd have to think they're going to have a really good response out of the gate in Game 4. If you win that, you're going to go home as the favorite, although I think they have 1 win in the playoffs at home. But nonetheless, then you go to Game 6, and that'll be a tough one. You start to change the narrative for the Panthers if they don't get it done here, and then you win Game 5. Maybe you scare them a bit, but I mean, it could be over on Wednesday night. I don't know.
Sure.
It's the Leafs. It's what they're going to do. They're going to win 2 games.
Can they do it,
they
James
are.
Sharman?
No, they can't do
4
it.
straight.
Win 4 straight?
Yes.
No, there's no evidence.
Deep down, nowhere inside of you
Only the
believes they can
teams
pull it
do,
off.
4 out of 197, I think it is, something that they've done that, right?
Yeah.
They've all had great character on their team, and this team hasn't got enough character at the top end of its lineup, unfortunately.
Jake Muzzin was on that 2014 LA Kings team.
Well, yeah, but guess what? He's
I don't
not
know what that
playing in
means.
This
Is Jake
2023
Muzzin
Leafs
walking
team.
through the door anytime soon?
No, but he is with the team. You would think that maybe there's something that he could say. Like if you're Austin Matthews or one of the core
What is
four-
this, Rudy?
No, I don't know. I'm just
Doesn't happen
saying.
in real life.
Hey, I'd go if I was Austin Matthews or Mitch Marner. Hey, Jake. Listen, you were
He's
on
there.
that
Well,
team.
I'm sure he's been saying things.
You logged, I think, top 3 minutes on the team in that playoff run. You know, how did you guys do it?
Nobody's
What was
asking
said?
that. Nobody's
What
asking
happened?
that.
But you don't know. That.
Maybe they ask him, hey, listen, can you give Justin Williams a call?
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, everybody
Mike
in
Richards.
Toronto sports media is. He's on everybody's show except ours. But that's okay. We have Bobby Conway.
Yeah.
Even better.
So far.
Mr. Clutch.
Also, Mr. Game 7.
Oh, wow, Mr. Game 7. Yeah, if you look back at that LA Kings team, you have Justin Williams, Dustin Brown, Drew Doughty,
Jonathan
Mike
Quick.
Richards. I think Jeff Carter was on that team.
Jonathan Quick.
The Toronto Maple Leafs don't have those types of guys. They have an incredible amount of skill.
Yeah.
But maybe there is a heart issue there, a desperation issue. Hopefully no one has heart issues.
No, but
you know what I'm saying.
your core 4 hasn't scored a goal yet in the series. The only positive you can take away is they could be 2-1 or even 3-0, and like bounce here or there in overtime. Like, look, it's true. The series should be over, and all 3 of those games. 2 out of those 3 of those games, Florida really should have just taken control. Like that game shouldn't have been going to overtime in Game 3. Game 1 was a decent performance. Game 2, the Leafs probably should have won, but they're in every single hockey game because that's just how good Florida is. I don't think they're good enough to easily put away a team, but if Toronto's going to come out of the gate and have a decent response in the first 10 minutes, they're going to get punched in the face eventually, and how do they react to that? What if a bad goal goes in? What if it's 1-0 after the first period despite 15 shots on net? Are you just going to say, forget it, let's go home, or are you going to try and push back? I just don't know.
We've talked about the heart and the desire of this team. Don't you think the last couple of days, and that loss on Sunday night just kind of took the game took their hearts from them. Whatever minuscule heart they had left.
Yeah.
I know James did a great diagram off camera about the sizing of Leaf player hearts.
Yeah,
right?
core
It's
four
not
hearts,
very big, right? But whatever heart they had, I felt it was snatched from them on Sunday because they got thoroughly outplayed. There's a core 4 did not show up, right?
Yeah.
And I just think
And to be fair, it's a core, right? I mean, the other parts of that lineup, play hard.
But that's not
It's
what matters, though.
being the term in this year's playoffs is the term gamer. I think Paul Maurice actually was the first guy to break it down with Kachuk. We've heard it with Draisaitl. They're gamers, right? And Leafs have gamers, but sadly they're 3rd and 4th liners. You need your top players to be gamers, right? And these guys are supremely talented players, and you can have 1, maybe 2 superstars in your team who aren't gamers necessarily, but the rest lift them. When you got 4, you have 4 guys making $40 million between them, and there's not a gamer there.
How
that's
can
a problem.
all 4 of them be so bad at the same time?
It's
right. You would think maybe 1 or 2. Okay.
That's what
just the
Kyle
mentality.
Dubas.
Oh, we're doing this all over again. By the way,
That's what
we're doing this all
Kyle
over again.
Dubas did, though. He tried to create it so you had so much skill that you could have a couple guys, take the night off. You just can't have all 4 of them.
You know what it is? If you think about the NFL, right? People overpass Tom Brady. What was he? Pick 199, right? Because he didn't have the right intangibles, but he had all the intangibles, right? He didn't have the tangible, the arm, the size, and stuff like that. The Leafs players have all the tangibles to be great players. They just don't have the intangibles to be great players.
I'm so sick
You
of
know,
that word
so the
too,
great
man.
article in The Athletic, actually. So the Leafs last year, they hired this psychology guru who worked with Tom Brady. and worked with some of the biggest athletes in the world, and how he works with the Leafs. I want to know what he's thinking right now. He's been with them for over a year now. He's inside their heads. He understands how they.
Taking it off.
Maybe he's saying it's time to trade.
It's time to get off my resume. I'm not going to be using
Maybe he caught the blue and white disease we were talking about yesterday. Maybe he's like, I can't do my job anymore. It's so funny.
Greg Harden's got blue and white disease. That could be what it is.
I bet you. Right? Everyone has in that organization. It's unfortunate. Just last week, the Toronto Maple Leafs were favored. After winning getting past the first round, favored to win the Cup. Now it's the Florida Panthers. And Sean, if you could bring up the odds here for the Stanley Cup favorites, courtesy of Bet99, of course. Now you have the Toronto Maple Leafs at plus 2,300. That's the biggest underdog. Do you see any value on this board here? Like, let's just ignore the Toronto Maple Leafs and assume that they're not going to win four straight.
Well, the only reason Florida is at plus 350 is because it's assumed that they're getting through to the next round. No one else on that list has that within them.
Right.
The best team on the board there is not Florida. It's Carolina and Vegas, who I actually, thank you very much, picked to be in the Stanley Cup final from day one. But is there value there? That's tough. I don't know if there's any value in plus 400 and plus 420. There's absolutely none in Florida. And they'll immediately go behind Vegas, Edmonton, or Carolina, or New Jersey, whoever. Like, once those are settled series, they will immediately become, the fourth, or if Seattle wins, maybe they'll be the third ranked team, but they're not going to stay at number one. It's just because right at this moment, being up 3-0, they are basically through to the next round while no one else is at that point.
I feel sorry for anybody who put money on Toronto Maple Leafs plus 350 to win the Stanley Cup. People have definitely done that.
After round one.
The Edmonton Oilers, obviously everyone was talking about, can make the Cup, can win the Cup. Disappointing loss last night to the Vegas Golden Knights. Completely outplayed, I'd say, the entire game.
You get a guy like Aiden Hill in net, Brossois anyways, but you get Aiden Hill in net, and you can't muster up a performance. It's a little disappointing. Look, series is not over. They had a great game too. It happens. You're going to have a bad night. Dallas was much the same with Seattle, and Ottinger didn't have a great game. But it was shocking to me that you have Draisaitl and McDavid out there, and they couldn't muster a bit more when they got a backup goalie coming in.
I think like that last night, you just choke it up to the fact that it was a bad game. They had a poor performance. Jay Woodcroft said after the game, we weren't good enough to amend, right? And I think that's what it is. But this is not a trend like the Toronto Maple Leafs where their big players don't show up. This is probably just more of a bump in the road type of thing, right? I think we can expect the Oilers and their big players to show up in Game 4, and it must win Game 4 because if they go down 3-1 going back to Vegas, I don't like their chances, but I do think they go back to Stuart Skinner and they'll right the ship and they'll.
But they do keep falling behind in series early on. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, are they getting a free ride? The Leafs get destroyed. For falling behind in series, right? Even the last series, right? They get hammered for it.
We're in Canada.
Whereas this team's inconsistent. We know what they can do, but they can't do it apparently in 2 games in a row that often. So are they getting a free ride?
Nah, I don't know.
I mean, I think you get when your best players are your best players, which certainly Draisaitl has been, and McDavid's been fine, and their goaltending's always been a question, and you can make up the narrative that they're doing the best with what they have. They're playing a very, very good Vegas team. Like from top to bottom, this team won the West. They had a blip on the radar last year when they were trying to add Eichel in there and trying to make it all work. This is a good team that's made a few deep runs in the playoffs with a lot of that core still around. And, I mean, I think they've been extremely under the radar. Now, do I think Aiden Hill or Brossois is going to be holding up the cup? That is a wild thing to think about. But right now, they look much the best along with Carolina. And I think Edmonton gets a bit of a pass because of the fact that you can't put it on their stars. You can put it on the stars in Toronto right now, and you just can't put it on McDavid and Draisaitl.
No, exactly. You know that McDavid and Draisaitl can actually show up and win games despite what's going on in the back end. But there's definitely a goaltending controversy on the Edmonton side.
Yeah.
Do you just go back to Stuart Skinner? That wasn't a great performance. I'm thinking about that White Cloud goal.
I think
short side, top corner. Like, those goals can't go in. Like, that can't happen. And I know the guys in front of him weren't great. But at some point, Jay Woodcroft has to make a decision saying, like, I'm going to go with one of these guys.
Look what happened in the LA series, right? He got, they had to pull Skinner.
It's the second time,
Exactly, right? And I think, look, he's got them this far. You kind of got to go with him, right? Unless it was an elimination game. I mean, okay, then you go to Jack Campbell. But because it's 2-1 and they're at home, and I think goalies, especially young goalies, play a lot better at home ice, I think they go back to Stuart Skinner. Look, this guy was a finalist for the Calder Trophy this year, right? He didn't have, he had a very good year,
But in the playoffs, it's what have you done for me lately, right?
That's
true,
what it's
but
I also think with a young player, you got to keep him, put him back in the net, right? You just pull him out, and then his confidence is gone. And then what if you put him back in, and then he has no confidence, and you need him at a time of need, and he's not there. I think you got to go with him. keep the faith in him, right? And if have a short leash for sure, but you got to stick confidence with the young guy.
And you haven't got this storied veteran, solid, stable number 2, right? Jack
Jackie
Campbell
boy.
has major confidence issues, right? And can be all world one night and dreadful the next night, right? So it's not as if you're going back to, well, don't worry, we got Jack to back him up.
Right.
No, you need this guy to be playing his best hockey.
Okay, let's go back, quickly to the Toronto Maple Leafs. They have a goaltending issue, obviously.
Yeah.
So Ilya Samsonov not on the ice. I mean, as of recording the show, not on the ice. Murray and Wall on the ice. If you're Sheldon Keefe, who do you go with? Do you just continue with Wall, or do you go, listen, we have nothing to lose. We got a guy who's got a couple of cups who's ready to go.
That's cruel, by the way.
That is cruel.
I think
Change that right now.
if you look at it and Murray's 100%, I'd say you go with Murray.
I know.
Why
right?
else did you get him? I mean, what's the point? Like Joseph Wall. I mean, outside of his name being perfect for a goaltender, being the Wall, like the Wall. Yeah.
I got it.
You're trying to save your.
You didn't react
No,
to
I
it.
got it.
Wasn't that great?
You're trying to save your season.
Yeah. No, I don't. I just think you go with Matt Murray. I don't love it.
What if everything is just lining up?
Man,
right
yeah, that's a desperation
I'm
move,
getting-
though, right? That's thinking, you know what, we have no choice here but hope that the gods do exist and will shine down on Matt
You
Murray.
hear how loopy I am sometimes.
Yeah,
off
this
the air,
this
not for the
conversation
camera.
is very off the rails right now.
The universe
relying
is all
on
coming
Matt
together here.
Murray to come in to save your
No one's
season.
saying
Maybe
relying
Carl
on him.
Dubas is relying on him to save his job.
You gotta
because
take a
if he comes
flyer.
in and they win 4 straight, Dubas looks great in a number of. I brought Matt Murray in. I trusted my core.
But if Toronto, say hypothetically in some alternate universe, Toronto does come back and win this
Alternate
series,
universe.
right? Is that more on the Leafs being a great team or the Panthers choking?
Well, now we're getting very hypothetical.
There we go. right? What? Is it the Panthers choke job or
Depends
is it
which
the Leafs?
media you are. You Panthers media or Leafs media?
What
Panthers
will
media-
happen in this city if the Leafs pull it off?
We want Carolina. We want Carolina.
Yeah, we want somebody, right?
I'm more confident the Blackhawks win the cup this year, and they're not even in the playoffs.
Yeah, I know. Connor Bedard.
Yeah.
Shout out Connor Bedard.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to some best bets with Bobby Conway. Producer Sean, I think, slept at the wheel just briefly. He's back.
Oh,
He-
throwing the producer under
no,
the
I
bus
love
there.
you, Sean.
Whoa,
I
you
love
gotta
you.
do
We'll
that.
have McCormick's minute later.
Well,
So
that's 45 seconds. But
yeah, now it's 30 seconds. Okay, Bobby Conway, what do you got for us?
Okay. 2 games tonight in the NHL. A team that I've been rolling for a very long time with is Carolina.
Mhm.
I just can't turn down the plus money on the Hurricanes. So
Plus 120.
I know. Good, man. That's a good price for a team that has no reason, I think, to not be the favorite every time they're going out right
I do
now.
like that.
I know it's in New Jersey, but nonetheless. And I think the narrative fits that Dallas bounced back, has a good game against the Kraken. I love the plus money at home for the Kraken, but I think
know
Dallas
that's
gets it
exactly what I
done.
was looking at. Home dog
Yeah.
plus 115.
I know, but I think Dallas gets it done. Splits the series, and they head back to Dallas tied.
Man, isn't it crazy to think that Seattle Kraken have had more success than the Leafs in the past 19 years in the playoffs?
I just
They've
want
had
to say
more
what
success than the Vancouver Canucks
We-
too.
Well, everyone has more success than Vancouver. I'm sorry.
Not the Leafs. Not
Sorry,
the Leafs.
sorry.
That-
Well,
in the playoffs, I'm a firm believer that it would be a lot of fun if you had to pick your opponent. So whoever's the highest rank can just pick whoever they want. And
that'd be great.
I did Seattle.
there you go.
Boston against Seattle was my pick, and
Oh.
yeah, well, one team's there and one team's not.
That'd be TV, man. That'd be brilliant.
So
I
good.
love that idea.
So good.
Bobby, thanks for joining us.
No problem.
Appreciate that. Bobby Conway, Bet99. Okay, coming up after the break, it's McCormick's Minute, and we'll wrap up the show.